morning, everyone. Welcome to TeloYouth Wednesday morning educational webinar. Today we have Dr. Chris and Dr. Tina on the line. They have a combined 60 years of experience as naturopathic practitioners. They are internationally renowned educators and speakers. And most importantly, they are the formulators of our incredible products, Uterine Fibroids Serum and TeloYouth. Good morning, Dr. Chris, Dr. Tina.
Good morning, MJ. Good morning, everyone out there joining us today. So glad to be a part of this call.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thanks, MJ. Hello, Dr. Chris.
Good morning.
So today is a pretty popular topic, uterine fibroids. And before we jump in, I'd like to mention, we talk about our body, that we're talking about our health. And, one of the things I'd like everyone to understand, and this is just a way of thinking, a perspective to potentially have, and that is, our body is a gift. We didn't design it, we didn't make it, but it's ours to use. And when we look at what the purpose of our body is, think about this. It gives us time, right? And it gives us freedom. And when our body stops working, our time is up. So when it ceases to be young or healthy, we lose our freedom. We become locked into the structure of what our body means, the restrictions around our body. So if I could just leave you today with a message, it would be just know that your body is a gift. And that's how we formulate. We look at what can we do to continue to give ourselves this beautiful gift of time and freedom. And it's all one. Without our health, we have no freedom. And it's so important today with what we're being faced with, what we're being challenged with. So I hope that's helpful for all of you today. So we're going to talk a little bit about uterine fibroids. And, it's interesting. Dr. Chris and I were traveling through China. And the biggest question, the most number one question that we got in every city out of the 50 cities that we went and visited was this: I have uterine fibroids. How do I get rid of them? So the first challenge with all of this is to understand that, we need to know how, first of all, how's it caused? What can we do to take care of it? But we're being faced with this, not just, when we were in China, but we've been faced with this for a long time, and it's becoming more prevalent here, even in the United States. But we just want you to know that this is a global challenge that is going on. And fibroids are these growths that you can see them over on the left-hand side. They can grow on the uterine walls. They can grow, all throughout the uterus. And what it does is it gives us these prolonged menstrual cycles, and it also can show up as low back pain. And so let's talk a little bit more. Dr. Chris, did you have anything that you wanted to add on this particular slide?
Just that the different types of fibroids, what you're showing there is there's the ones that grow in the musculature of the uterine wall, and the submucosal, meaning just under the mucosal surface. And what we're going to talk about today is the submucosal fibroids that have been diagnosed in our members. So just wanted to give a little bit more perspective there.
Thank you. So what happens, we get these because our function and structure starts to decline. We end up with stressors, and we're going to talk about what those are. But on the left-hand side, before we have, these fibroids, over time, moving to the right side, we end up having this degradation, this decline and these stressors that come in before we actually start to see those fibroids on the right-hand side or sense the lower back pain. But this, when those show up, we're already in a major imbalance. So what causes them? When we look at the number one reason, we're showing that estrogen and progesterone imbalances, when we have these hormones that are imbalanced. High blood pressure can cause fibroids. Hormone disrupting chemicals, estrogen increasing foods, and smoking. These are known causes right now that we know about that can create these fibroids. And so when you're in stress, when we're looking at overall stress in the body, I didn't even list that one. So when we're looking at what can we do to offset or balance these fibroids, we need to take a look at our diet, number one. What can we do to really balance out all of the good cooked green vegetables, the fresh fruits, the legumes? That's the Mediterranean diet. There's so much information right now out on the internet that you can even look up Mediterranean diet, but this is where you're going to incorporate really good fish and all of the good oils, like the olive oils, into your daily routine. We're going to work on lowering blood pressure. That does help. And the Mediterranean diet is going to actually help lower blood pressure, reducing alcohol intake. Having high amounts of alcohol is really challenging for your hormones. Smoking, stop smoking. That's going to be an obvious one. Get enough vitamin D. Now, I don't know why we call it vitamin D. Vitamin D is a hormone. So if you have these fibroids, or you know somebody that does, I would definitely ask your doctor to check your vitamin D levels. That's going to be critical to know where those are at. And we need to get those vitamin D levels up. The easiest way is to get out in the sun and get that skin exposure to the sun on a daily basis. Also, lowering your stress levels. When our cortisol is high, it actually creates imbalances with our estrogen and our progesterone, because cortisol is a hormone, and it's almost like it takes over, and it like takes over all of our good cholesterol, and it just depletes it over into the cortisol side. And so we start to have these imbalances with our good estrogens and our progesterones that we need to have back in balance. We also need to avoid hormone disrupting chemicals. Well, what are those? Well, earlier on the call, we were talking about Minnesota and our farming. We have major farming here, but we also have over 10,000 lakes. And there was a study that was done that was showing, where is the most toxic water in the United States. And I just really hate to say it, it's Minnesota came in at number one. And it was because of these fertilizers and these pesticides that are used in our farming practices, and it's leached into our water. And if you don't drink pure, clean water, you are now drinking these hormone disrupting chemicals, these fertilizers and these pesticides. The problem is we're not only drinking it, but we're taking showers in it and baths in it. And what happens is we don't just drink in these chemicals, they also come in through our skin. And when we talk about other areas like plastics, so people think, okay, well, I'm going to go get bottled water and I'm going to bring it into the home. Well, then now you're dealing with plastics such as BPA, and that is a hormone disrupting chemical. Non-stick coating on our cookware, fire retardants, those are found primarily in carpeting, in our furniture. You buy new furniture, bedding, all of that. There's that fire retardant, and that is actually a very toxic chemical that disrupts our hormones, dyes, paints. The other thing that's starting to become on the radar here with what we put on our skin is our personal care products. Anything we use for our hair and our skin. And there have been studies that women, before they even leave to go to work in the morning, they've already exposed themselves up to 45 different chemicals before leaving the home based on their personal care products. That is insane. Those are the things that are going to also throw off our estrogen and our progesterone. And those two hormones, they stimulate the development of the uterine lining, during each menstrual cycle, but they also appear to promote the growth of those fibroids. So we want to make sure that we're not so estrogen or progesterone dominant. Very important to have those chemical or those hormones in balance. And then we have our phytoestrogens. These are the foods that increase or mimic estrogen in the body. So where are you going to find those? It's going to be in red meat sources that include added hormones, or even chicken or any other GMOs. You have to be really careful with what you're eating. So I know that going out to eat is pretty limited these days, but if you're going to be going out to eat, just know if they don't tell you that it's hormone free, you are ingesting these phytoestrogens because they are injected into the meat sources: soybeans, soy milk, tofu, flax seeds, and soy protein powder. Now I'm going to circle back a little bit to when we were in China. I didn't close that story. Fibroids, uterine fibroids were so prevalent, and one of the ways it was being caused for them were not only all of these toxins that we talked about, but they thought that soy protein was a very, very clean source of protein. And it is one of the most toxic proteins that we can ingest into our body, not only because of the GMO nature of the soy, but all the herbicides and pesticides that are used to grow the soy. So there are some soy products that you can eat that are a little more pure and clean and okay for you, like the fermented ones like natto, and you're okay. And if you have soy, do it in smaller amounts. But what was happening is we were seeing people doing full meal replacements, 1 or 2 meals a day with soy protein powder. And they were just having this strong estrogen dominance in their bodies. Okay, Dr. Chris, I'm going to take a break and go ahead and ask for any suggestions or intake or information you want to add.
It's just a great presentation. It just boils down primarily to that hormone imbalance, which what does TeloYouth do? It supports the ability to reduce those cortisols and the stress levels in the body and in many ways. And therefore you make the good hormones, the healthy ones. And we see that in the clinical studies with the DHEA and testosterone studies. So that definitely impacts the estrogens and the progesterones that women are concerned about getting out of balance, and the underlying factor with fibroids. And then, of course, the vitamin D is really a steroidal hormone, as you mentioned. So great job there. And isn't it interesting, too, though, we found in China that everyone smokes,
Yes.
Toxins are just so prevalent. And then the consumption of the foods that are phytoestrogens, and then just the stress levels of the population density and everything else. So
Yeah.
there's a case study of what not to do, right?
Right. And even in China, if they didn't, a lot of women didn't smoke, but what they were exposed to was the secondhand smoke.
Yes.
And so it was a problem for them. Even though they weren't smoking, they were still exposed to those toxins. So it was really quite interesting. But again, all of those things move you quickly over into the major imbalance here on the right-hand side. The structure and function of your body starts to decline, and you have those major imbalances. And that's when something like uterine fibroids show up. Oops, wrong way.
Accelerated aging, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, here we have the clinical example, which I just decided to share from the standpoint that proof is in the pudding, right? Here's a member who's a woman, age 53, and her first exam showed multiple fibroids, but one major mass that was causing the pressure on the lining of the wall and the pelvic disruption. And after just less than 4 months on TeloYouth, there was a 58% reduction in the mass. And the first exam was done with MRI, and then ultrasound was followed up after that. So we see here the opportunity to help the body in so many ways, and again, showing how fibroids, and especially the uterine fibroids for women, are becoming more predominant because the stressors are becoming more predominant, and our ability to deal with all the different forms of stressors just speaks volumes to what we can do for everyone's health and well-being. So on this next slide.
Oh, 1 second, if I could. Sure. What I'd like to do is I'd like to mention here, you see in yellow on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, that's the 58% reduction that Dr. Chris is talking about. But what did she do? She did the rejuvenation program. So, and it's the normal 8 capsules in the morning, 8 either before bed or before dinner. And in 4 months, she had these changes. But not only that, she had chronic knee pain. She had old injuries that disappeared. And because she loves to play badminton and golf, her performance is better and her recovery is better. So her driving of the ball for golf was just also a lot better. So that's just really great to hear that she's overall made improvements.
Okay, and how does that happen? Well, again, it's all about the signaling. Before you have the hormonal imbalances, before you have the breakdown in the metabolic function, the blood sugar irregularities that are predisposed to creating the fibroids, you have this disruption in signaling. And one of the key ingredients to TeloYouth is the FTE, the fertilized tissue extract. So all 6 of the ingredients support the signaling in the body, the signaling that occurs in the endocrine system for the hormones, in the central nervous system for the neurotransmitters, for the immune system, the cytokines that regulate, increase inflammation when there's trauma, and then decrease it after the trauma has been dealt with, and we need to repair and regenerate. So think about just the communication is like a language. It's the alphabet is interfered with from the standpoint of making the signals in the language that's required for this communication. So what we're doing with TeloYouth is we're replacing those missing signals, those missing components that allows for the communication to happen. And that's essentially what aging is all about, the losing that ability to perform all the communication and the signaling that goes on between all the different systems.
Yes.
Next slide.
Yeah, we like to show Hannah here because she had such dramatic results in 3 months. She is different from, this is not the same woman with the uterine fibroids, but we show Hannah because if you look at her physical appearance, you know that she's changing from the inside out. And in 3 months, this is just fantastic.
We like to show this slide again, not just to exemplify the communication that's enhanced with specifically the FTE, but the studies that are behind this ingredient, which is the foundational component to TeloYouth. It allows for growth factors to be expressed. And this facilitates the healing, the repair, the signaling, the communication that happens on the cellular level. This is what your decline in stem cells has lost, and we're able to boost again in the body by facilitating these signaling mechanisms that are part of TeloYouth. And of course, the hormones of our body are so important, not just for the ability to make us who we are, but the energy production, the communication between the other systems happens through the endocrine system. So you see the words as instructions, and those instructions happen from the cellular level to make the organs and the tissue organs and tissue make the systems, and the systems all work together. And this is what makes TeloYouth so special. Dr. Tina, anything to add there?
No.
Let's look at the ingredients themselves. You see that the really key components to the immune function are the aloe vera gel, the chaga mushroom, the rhodiola rosea. This is what's helping us to deal with the inflammation and the traumas that occur in the body, both internal and external. And it helps the balancing, and we call it the immune modulation that goes on. And you have all the repair mechanisms there available so the immune system can patch up and fix the body on every level. And deeper within the cell, you have the mitochondria. These are your little energy factories. And these energy factories lose their ability to repair and regenerate. And our aloe vera gel has been shown to do that. So you have these immune factors with the aloe, the chaga, the rhodiola, and then you have all the pre-embryonic molecules, the formative molecules that do the signaling to develop life itself. And this, again, supports the body's ability to make the hormones, the neurotransmitters, the cytokines, and all the different systems. And one of the things that we did mention as far as the causal factor with fibroids in women is a breakdown in the collagen. And this is why the marine collagen is a key component in our TeloYouth formula, and we refer to it as the super glue, because what does collagen do? It is the glue that holds our cells together. And when your cells are tightly knit and bound together, you have not just a impenetrable barrier, you have a communication highway that goes along this collagen structure within the body. So this enhances the communication. So you've got all this signaling going on, but it requires this healthy collagen to be very prolific and specific. And then of course the L-arginine is another super builder. And in the case of fibroids, what we know about L-arginine is it facilitates blood circulation. It relaxes the blood vessels so that when you don't have that stagnation that is part of the causal factors of how fibroids start and how the breakdown begins. So you see every one of these ingredients play a key role, and why in just less than 4 months you saw the incredible results of these fibroids being reduced, and then our member being able to just continue on with a healthy, strong, vital life and staying very active and reducing inflammation and pain throughout the body. Dr. Tina, anything you'd like to add?
No, this is great. Let's move into the programs. What can people do? We talk about our wellness program, and this we talk about as a commitment for 3 months. And on the left-hand side, the effects, what you can feel or sense or expect is deep sleep, more energy, glowing skin, pain relief, and longevity. And what did we talk about in the beginning? When we have our health, we have time and we have freedom. So we have more longevity. The daily intake is in the middle section, and it's based on who it's suitable for over on the right. So if we have somebody on the bottom there that's age 40 plus and unhealthy, you might want to consider the Rejuvenation program. But if you're 40 and plus and healthy, you know, over the 3-month period, you want to minimally take 4 in the morning and 4 before dinner or bedtime. And that requires 2 bottles a month. So hopefully you're tracking things there. And, you know, we have had over 3,000 TeloYouth clients take our formula, and this information has been collected. And if you can take a look here, some of these statistics of our clients, let's just choose a few of these. Let's go down to more energy, because everybody wants more energy. If we have more energy, our body is rejuvenating. So when we go down and look at more energy, in the first month, 50%, that's 1,500 of our members have done their health evaluation and said they've experienced more energy. Within the 3rd month, 80% experienced more energy and 20% still didn't. So their body was working on something else before they were able to gain more energy. What did we do? We moved them into the Rejuvenation program, and we'll see that in a moment. And then let's go to memory and focus. That's a biggie. Dementia is, and Alzheimer's is off the charts right now. And so when we look at memory and focus, within the 3rd month, 80% of our members, of those 3,000 people, experienced better memory and focus. The remaining 20%, we moved them into the Rejuvenation program after that 3rd month. So what is our Rejuvenation program? This is true age reversing technology. When you move into the Rejuvenation program, it's not a matter of does TeloYouth work? It's a matter of how much are you going to take and how are you going to commit to having your body go through the reversal process. And so this is true rejuvenation. We ask that you commit to this to a minimum of 6 months plus, depending on what's going on with you. The daily intake is going to change a little bit. It's either going to be 6 or 8, depending on your age, if you're under 55 or over 55. And if you're looking at functional and structural rebalance, or you just have chronic issues, you could take up to 2 years where you need to have some real commitment with 8+ in the morning or 8 before dinner and sleep. That's going to help you really, truly rebalance. And when we showed that picture of the buildings, this would be on the far right where you have major decline of your function and your structure. And so we just ask you to allow yourself the space to be committed. And 80%, what happens is when we start getting more energy and we start rejuvenating, we don't always feel that great, and we call this retracing. And this is the body removing those fertilizers, those pesticides, those toxins, those endocrine disruptors out of the body. Sometimes it doesn't feel very good. So we just ask that you embrace it with peace and gratitude and let your body take the time and space to clean itself out. And that's where you're going to look at our retracing webinar and definitely follow the steps and the guidelines there. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add on the programs?
No, this is great. I just love having some good guidance and direction on what to do, because our body doesn't just break down overnight. It takes time and to get into these chronic degenerative states. And this is a wonderful guidepost to help everyone understand where to begin and what to do. So
right. And yeah, and if you're in the Rejuvenation program or you have somebody that's getting ready to start, make sure they come to these webinars on Wednesday and Saturday. We hear time and time again. It's so helpful because we're your support team. We're here to answer questions. We're here to make sure that you know that you're working through the process and that you're headed in the right direction. Because once you get through your peaks and valleys, you will come through the other end with more energy and vitality and youthfulness. And what do you gain? You gain time and freedom.
Exactly. And that's what the Wednesdays and Saturdays are all about. It's about the education. We're not here to play doctor, to treat, cure, or ameliorate any type of condition. This is what your health care provider is for. So make sure you join us for these educational calls is what they're designed to do and help you understand where your body's at. And be sure to just work with your healthcare professional if you have any type of condition or symptoms or issues that you're concerned about.